Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Tuesday, the 5th of July, 2015, and this is episode 186, Small Things 16 Wrap Up. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. That was a mouthful. Yesterday was Independence Day, 4th of July. I worked all week since basically the last time I saw you, because I think that I was talking to you about finishing things on Monday, and then I had Monday and Tuesday off, but I ended up being called in. I actually got a text while I was recording asking me to come in. So I worked 6 days last week. So super busy at work. It's been rainy the last several days, so my kids are getting a little stir crazy, and it's supposed to rain the rest of the week. So I need to figure out what we can do to get out of the house. We've already been to the library several times, and it's not starting to lose its appeal, but it's a little less shiny. You know what I mean? Like, they still want to go, but they're less excited and they want to stay there less long. Anyway, it's the wrap up for all the small things. You guys kicked butt and did fabulous. I'm going to tell you how I did. I did pretty awesome. I finished, I don't think I included, okay, so I finished 18 socks, but I don't think that includes the socks that I finished this past week. So it's either 18 or 22 socks that I finished during the knit along. Everything else is updated, correct amounts, but I also did 3 cross stitches, a market bag, 2 jar cozies, 2 spinning projects, 66 hexapuffs, 12 barn raising squares, 14 mitered squares, 1 hat, and 2 cowls. So those are the things that I finished. And I know a lot of you made super progress on a lot of things, and some people only made a little progress, and that's awesome, because at least things are getting work done. So I am going to draw one final winner, one final time, and get to me in the Ravelry group. Let me know what you want. Send me a PM. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Send me a PM if you're the winner. Look at the list. Let me know what you would like. And shake, shake, shake. Last winner of the knit along. I'm highly distracted by the very, very poor lighting today, but as I said, it's raining here, so the winner is, again, Philippa MC. She won last week also, so this is post 161, and this is another mitered square. She did about a jillion mitered squares, so I'm not surprised that she won twice. And Philippa, I've decided on your prize, so I just need you to PM me your address. I'm not even giving you the option. And this is not because I decide what people win. It is because in her message last week, she's international to me. She was very sweet and said that she really liked the bag that was up for grabs, but didn't want me to pay international shipping. Well, I'm just going to do it since you won twice. Send me your address, please. Okay, so yes, that is the end of that knit along, and I really like that knit along. We're definitely going to do it again next year. It's just really fun to have a place to put all those little things, or single socks or whatever, because they all count. I feel very because you know, I've been working a lot lately, which means less sleep than normal, and children, and man, like, I'm kind of wondering if I'm going to be less of a space cadet once Mara goes to school. And then I wonder if I'm just a space cadet all the time and I just blame it on the children right now because it's a convenient excuse. Does anyone else ever wonder this about themselves? So yay, all the small things. I really, really enjoyed looking at the thread and seeing what people were working on and finishing. It was super inspirational. So thank you. Okay, on to finished objects. I did so well. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited. Last month, I finished all of my blanket projects. In the 2 years that I've been doing that tag, which is hashtag TFOTM, I've only finished all of the projects on the blanket one other time. So that's pretty exciting. Before I talk about finished objects, I am going to say that I have a new blanket worth of projects, and I feel like it looks unimpressive because normally I have about 8 things on the blanket, and I only have 5 things this month. But 2 of them are super big challenges, so I'll talk about those in a minute though. Molly, my dog, is in here. She just opened the door, and she's pretty sure that nobody ever pets on her or loves her, and she is just the most neglected puppy. She looks neglected, doesn't she? Nobody ever loves on this dog. It's so very sad for her. So anyway, finished objects. I finished the lighthouse cross stitch. It has been rinsed off because it got a little icky. And so now it's dry. So now I can press it and finish it, which I don't know if that'll happen this week. Maybe, maybe not. The lighthouse was a kit from I don't remember who, and I don't know where the paper is right now. But I got some advice about using a different knot than the French knot from Robin. So that's what I did for the flowers at the bottom. And as you can see, they're not perfect or super neat, but I am not super experienced at cross stitch, and I'm not really that experienced with knots in needle crafting. I've embroidered lots of things, but never with knot work. I know a lot of satin stitch, a lot of cross stitch, a lot of back stitch sort of things, but no knot work. So did I already say that I used the colonial stitch instead of a French knot, colonial knot instead of French? Yeah, that's what I did for those flowers. So it's finished. I just need to put it in the hoop, and I decided that I'm going to go with the hoop that I got, because last week when I was talking to you, I said I was finished with everything. I think I said I was finished with everything except the black, but that was not true. I had this whole section of green to use, so I think that will take up enough negative space that the hoop that I have will work. I also finished spinning a rainbow dashing colorway from Yarn Geek Fibers in their BFL Sparkle Base. So here it is in all of its prettiness. I did a 2-ply fractal. So there is barber pulling. There are a few places where the rainbow matched up color-wise, but I think only for about a yard or 2. And then, of course, there's this blue that matched up frequently throughout, because the rainbow was such a small section of this yarn. I didn't do the math beforehand, so 153 times 2 is 304 yards, approximately, of a 2-ply, so sport-ish weight. Is that right? 300 yards for 4 ounces? 4 ounces? Yeah. So, yeah. It goes a little bit thick and thin. I didn't worry about keeping it too consistent because it was fun, and I didn't have a project in mind for it, so I kind of just let the fiber do what it wanted. It's so pretty. Just look at how pretty that is. It was a very enjoyable spin once I got through that first really, really big section of blue, because I did the the unsplit half first, because that's my least favorite part of fractals, is that really big color chunks, because it's fun when the color keeps changing. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. And it's not super soft, but it's not super scratchy, so it could be a next to the neck sort of thing. I don't know what it wants to be when it grows up, other than really pretty. I finished some socks that are dirty because I wore them to work twice since I finished them. So yeah, I'm totally putting dirty socks on my show. Sorry about that, kind of. I finished the Franken socks. These were made using yarns from Haley. She sent me a whole bunch of them at Christmas time, a whole bunch of mini skeins to use in my various minis projects. And I did rounds in multiples of 5 for this sock. So, well, excepting the toe and the heel. So I did the toe out of one yarn, and then 5 rounds of this greenish, 10 rounds of the next color, 10 rounds of this green and multi-stripe, 15 rounds of this varying width pink, blue, green stripes, and then 10 rounds of the red and purple splotchy stripes, 10 rounds of this beautiful blue purple variegated, 10 rounds of this brown and blue variegated. I did the heel flap in that same brown and blue, or the heel turn, and then I did the heel flap in a solid blue. It was actually a long blue stripe with short color stripes in between, but I just used the blue for that. And then 10 rounds of this green to pink, and it's got some speckle, so that's all one yarn. And then 10 rounds of my favorite yarn, which is this speckly 2-ply that I talked about in length last week about how it was my favorite, but I didn't want to put it on my foot. So I'm super pleased with how they turned out. They fit very, very well, very comfortable. I can totally see that I'm going to wear these socks out very rapidly, so I need to get working on more socks for myself, because yeah, I love these socks so much. It is the Rose City Roller pattern by, I want to say Mara Catherine Briner, but I'm not sure. It's all in the show notes. So I'm pretty sure that's her name, though. It's a really great pattern. Well, it's her pattern, but kind of. I did it from the toe up. I made the Rose City Rollers per pattern once, and then I reverse engineered these based off of the ones that I made previously for myself for proper fit. So based on number of rounds and things like that. And yeah, I've already worn them twice. I actually need to wash them today so I can wear them again in a couple days when I go back to work, because I have tonight and tomorrow night off. It's kind of nice, and I am definitely not going in on either of those days. I cannot work 6 days this week. I will go crazy. I also finished the Partying It Up and Getting Down socks by Megan Williams. So here they are. This is where I was on the second sock. No, the second sock. Where was I last week? Must be the second sock. So that's where I was. I finished it up, finished the knitting. I'll take it off the blockers so I can show you how the patterns work up differently. Did I say it was by Megan Williams? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. The yarn is Fibernymph Dyeworks Inversibles in the Black Orchid colorway. Black/orchid colorway. Socks are all knit on US size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles. And these are the socks. So this one was the toe up version. So this is the partying it up and this is the getting down. And the name is based on toe up versus cuff down and also which way the chevron points. So I think it's just a really cool effect having these inversibles be for these socks. It's the inversibles on the bounce base, which is 75-25 maybe. Superwash merino and nylon. I think it's superwash merino. So it's superwash wool of some sort. So yeah, those are the partying it up and getting down socks for my sister because she is spoiled, because I love her and she spoils me. And the last finished object for the week is Buffalo Crossing, which is my pattern. I knit it out of hand spun from Stitch Punk. It's the bubble wrap colorway. I'm pretty sure that she is no longer dying, which is really sad because I really liked her work. And I did it as a 3-ply, a Navajo ply. So last week I was at this airplane and then I knit, let me see if I can find my seam. There it is. So that's the bottom edge. So I knit all of this, more than half of the cowl last week, a decent chunk of it while watching movies in the dark. So it's totally a in the dark sort of thing if you can count and watch movies at the same time, which I am totally capable of. And I made a mistake on the Kitchener together because on this version you Kitchener. I was Kitchenering from the wrong side, so I was doing Kitchener on reverse stockinette, and in 2 places I forgot that and I didn't back it out because I didn't care that much. So you can see it's got purl bumps right there and purl bumps right here. Dogs, go. But I don't care, and I don't think it's super visible from here. I think if it's here you can see, but yeah, I am pleased with it. My Kitchener is a little bit loose in a couple of places like that, but again, I don't really care and nobody's going to notice except for me. So this is what it looks like. It is lovely. I'm keeping it for myself. I am super pleased with it. Again, it's another pattern that works up super fast, really nice gift project. There is a version for self-striping and a version for you striping the yarn, which is garter stitch, which you could also make out of a variegated or a solid, and it is now caught on my earring. Okay, there we go. So I really like this cowl. It's super soft because it's 100% merino, non-superwash. And the chevron pattern you can see is irregular. So I really enjoy that about my very own pattern. It was worked on US size 8, which is a size bigger than the pattern calls for. And I made the make ones using yarn overs, which I did not then close, which is not how the pattern was originally written, but still works just fine. Is my child being super noisy to you? Because I feel like he is being super noisy. I apologize. So, works in progress. I started a bunch since I finished everything. The stuff that was on the blanket and my other sock project that I had on the needles. I am super excited about this one. So this is the what is it called? Twilight Silhouette. I just call it my fairies cross stitch. And I'm a little intimidated by it because it is big. And I understand 14 by 11. Like, I see those measurements and I'm like, oh yeah, I understand that. But it's not the same as opening the canvas and being like, that's going to be a big piece. So this is how big it's going to be. But this is the area that I'm working on. And I had to grid it because I made a mistake one day and I couldn't figure out what the mistake was. It turns out I missed a line with one of the colors that I was working with. So this is 3 different colors of floss, which you can't really tell because it's supposed to be, they're supposed to be close. It's not supposed to be a stark contrast. It's the blending of the colors in the moon. So I'll show you on here where I am. See her finger right there? That is translated to finger right here. I've just barely started. It's the first time that I've used half cross stitches in a pattern before. I haven't done a ton of cross stitch, although I did find one of my old ones as I was cleaning through some stuff. Maybe I'll bring that next week. So yeah, I've never done a pattern before that had just half cross stitches. So the thread, is that what we're calling it? The floss, whatever, is held double thick, which is a little awkward for me to work with, but not bad. And then you only have to make this stitch once instead of twice, which is nice. There are full crosses in here, but the part that I'm working on right now is just half crosses. And it's kind of intimidating. It's, the chart is this folded open, and there's 2 of them. So it's 2, I feel like it's 4 full pages of instruction, but it's on 2 sheets of paper. It's very intimidating. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. I've never used blending filament before. I've never done a cross stitch this big before, and Mara has claimed it. She's decided it's hers. Even though it's mine, she decided it was hers. So yeah, I'll be working on that, and I'm again just doing 1 strand of floss, or one length of floss, not 1 strand, but 1 length of floss a day. So I'm working on it, and forward progress is being made, but I'm not overwhelmed because I want to work on it a lot, but I don't want to burn myself out on it. It's really intimidating. It's like learning a new craft, kind of, even though I've done cross stitch before and embroidery and hand stitching and stuff. It's very different from other cross stitches that I've done, which is good. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again, even though I've been deja cueing in my knitting like crazy. But I have a non-deja cue item. So let's talk about that. I am making the Mingus sock pattern by Cookie A, and this is what it looks like. It's a really lovely wave pattern. I am not making them the full length because these are Haley's Christmas socks. So Haley, if you want to see your Christmas socks, you can, but if you don't want to see them, look away for a few minutes. You can hear me talk about it because, you know, but if you don't want to see, look away. The yarn that I'm using is from Spin Monkeys. It is one of the skeins of yarn that I got off of the yarn truck at last year's ZK. And the colorway is Sky Lantern on the Revolution sock, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Oh, I love it super much. I'm not going to talk about the color though, just in case Haley is looking away and not watching. I have finished the cuff and I've started the pattern. I don't know if I'm going to do a full pattern repeat or just like another 10 rounds or something. I did 10 rounds for the cuff. She wears short socks, so I don't know. I'm probably just going to do maybe like 2 or 3 more rounds and then do the heel because short socks. And it's apparently yard work time, even though there was yard work happening yesterday. Sorry if you can hear that lawnmower. It is what it is. So they don't look very impressive today because I just started them. None of my works in progress are going to look super impressive because I just started them a few days ago and I haven't done any quota anything today. But those are the Mingus socks by Cookie A. And that's one of my New Year's resolution things is to do 3 Cookie A patterns. So this is pattern 1 of the year. And I have the other 2 picked out for future projects that I already have the yarn picked out for. So we're all good there. I just have to make it. And while we're talking about resolution things, I didn't make the Easter wreaths, so I didn't do the Easter decorations. And I think I redrew that for this coming month to work on Easter wreaths. I'll check while I'm talking to you. But I also did continue working on the quilt a little bit. I need to do about 10 more strands to be where I want to be for quota. But I'm going to insert a picture of my progress here. And then this month's project is the back porch rug, which I should be able to finish pretty easily this month because I don't have a lot of fabric left going into it. It's the red and blue rag rug that I'm making. So I don't have a lot that needs to be made into strips and then it's just crocheting. So that will probably be finished this month. How cool would that be? Anyway, back to works in progress, things that I'm actually working on. I am doing 2 spinning projects this month because it's Tour de Fleece. Ta-da! Yay, Tour de Fleece! And you know how I feel about Tour de Fleece if you've watched for any length of time. I like to push myself. So my only goal is to spin every single day. And it doesn't matter, I have 2 projects, and it doesn't matter which one I spin on, and it doesn't matter the amount of time because my time is at a premium right now. This year is, I don't know why it is, it just is. And the projects are really cool. I specifically picked 2 projects that would be really different and kind of difficult for me to push myself. So the first is this lovely blue shiny mulberry silk, and I think it's 4 ounces. I didn't weigh it and it doesn't have a tag, but I'm pretty sure it's 4 ounces of mulberry silk that I'm spinning on my wheel, which is kind of insane. It's kind of hard to spin because silk staple length is really, really long. So I have to do pre-drafting a little bit and pull it off in chunks. I can't just spin it straight from the it's not really a braid, but I guess the braid. But like, yeah, look at that. So I break off a piece and then I make that into strips and then I spin it because that's just way easier for me to spin. And I don't have a ton of progress, but I'll put in a picture. My hands are a little bit rough to be spinning it, to be touching it right now, but I will put on lotion before I spin today. Yeah, it's not a lot of progress. I don't spin on it a lot every day because it's frustrating because I'm not good at it. But I am making progress, so there's that. Hey, babe. Thank you. Out of here. Well, Gabriel.
I was playing goldfish and I was going to challenge Snakey and Susie and then I won.
Cool. Will you go put those in the washing machine, please? Out of here. Thank you. And then my second spinning project is also silk, but it is a different preparation. I am spinning from silk hankies, and this is what my silk hanky cloud looks like because you're supposed to draft the entire thing into almost as thin as you want to spin it, but as thin as I want to spin it is this thin, which would make a really big cocoon of silk, and I feel like it would get tangled. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it would get tangled and it would make a mess. So let me show you the progress that I have on my bead spindle, my new bead spindle that Lorraine brought me back from Maryland this year. It's beautiful, and you can see that there's a lovely green on the hankies. So what I do is I draft out just about an arm's length, add the twist, wind it on, draft out the next bit. I can't draft and spin at the same time because that's kind of the nature of silk so far for me. Maybe some other people can, but because it's all one fiber, like one length of stuff, is my understanding, I can't do it, and I don't really think you could. So this was dyed by Jenna of 716 Knit. It was a prize forever ago for a hand spun sock along that we did, and I won that prize. It was like a unofficial official knit along that we had in the group. There weren't a ton of participants because you had to use hand spun yarn, and it's because I had just finished some hand spun that I wanted to use 4 socks. So yeah, that was the prize, and there were 2 colorways of silk that she sent, and I haven't used any of them. I actually have 3 colorways of silk hankies. You can see on my kind of empty shelf over here. I'm in the middle of cleaning up my craft room, so things are being rearranged. So that's why the shelf looks way different than normal, and it will look way different in the future. But if I didn't stop cleaning and start recording, it was never going to get recorded today, and then it would be another day late, and that's just too much. So anyway, there's 7/8 of an ounce of this colorway. And again, my hands are sticky, so it's sticking together. So this is just called Jewel Tones, and I love it. The color, I love the color. The spinning of it is a little bit tricky. I'm not super duper comfortable with supported spinning anyway. And this, since it's a lot of stopping and starting and I'm spinning crazy thin, it's just, I'm finding my rhythm. It's a little bit tricky, but that's the whole point of Tour de Fleece, is for me. Other people, it's other things, but the whole point of Tour de Fleece for me is to grow as a spinner. Last year I did my first ever support spindle project. The first year I spun 15 minutes a day, but I had only been spinning for like a month or something. So that was a big challenge. I don't remember what the other, I think this is my 4th Tour de Fleece, so I don't remember what the second year was. But yeah, I just like to challenge myself and learn new things and grow while I'm doing Tour de Fleece. So this is the second layer of the silk hanky, because the way that silk hankies work is it's one cocoon, I think, that's stretched over a square thing and set to dry, and then dyers dye them, and then you pull just a tiny layer off of that hanky, and that is what you break and spin. Or you can knit straight from it because it's silk, so it's strong, and it's strong enough to do that if you don't, pull it apart, because you can pull it apart. It just takes effort. Yeah, so I have a long way to go fiber-wise. I have a lot of fiber. But those are two of the projects that are on the blanket, those two spinning projects. The Mingus socks is another. And so between those two spinning projects, I feel that that more than covers the why I'm not doing 8 projects and only doing 5, because they're hard. They're hard for me because I'm not good at it. I haven't found my rhythm yet. It's only 5 days in, but I'm still like, okay, I'm gonna work through it. It'll be okay. I also started a pair of tube socks. I have this one and then a pair of baby tube socks, and I think that's all of the niece and nephew tube socks that I'm going to make this year. I might do 2 additional pair, but I haven't 100% decided yet. We'll get through this and then see where we are. So these are for my oldest nephew, and they are not his favorite colors. I usually try to make them colors that are the kids' favorites, but I just didn't have any in my stash, and I didn't want to go acquire more yarn when I had perfectly good yarn in my stash. It's just not the favorite colors. So they're fine colors. They're fine boy colors. I've made boy socks out of these before, man socks, whatever. The toes are using Peyton's Croy socks in the, gray marl colorway. And then the body of the socks is Peyton Croy Socks FX in Cascade colors. So I just wanted the toes to match because the FX doesn't match. I took the 50-gram ball and wound it from the skein that you get at the store to a cake, because it's just easier to work from the inside and outside that way. Here's what it looks like. You can see this one, the colors don't vary super widely, like value-wise, it's pretty close through the whole ball. But I do have a second ball that is the same colorway, but wildly different in color value. This one's much darker, trust me on it. So I'm going to use this one completely up, and if I'm getting toward the end of this cake and I'm not to the length that I want these socks to be, I will add in the second ball. If I can finish the socks with just this cake, then I'm not going to worry about adding in the second one. Does that make sense? I might do cuffs in the gray marl, or I might transfer to the second ball of Cascade colors, which is totally different colors, which doesn't bother me. My oldest nephew's favorite colors are red, black, and white or gray. I can't remember. Red Wings colors. So I usually try to make him red socks, but I just didn't have any of that in my stash. That was in sufficient quantity. So he gets these, and the nice thing about Croy is that it is a thicker sock yarn. So I cast on the amount of stitches that I cast on for my niece, who is 3 years younger than he is, instead of for my other nephew, who is the other nephew who I just made socks for, who is only like three months younger than him. So it's a smaller stitch count, and the row gauge is different, so I'm only planning on doing 35 rounds of each section instead of 40. So these socks are going to take less time to make, which is exciting because tube socks aren't the most interesting thing to knit. They're great for walking around, for going to the library, for all of those things because I don't really have to look at them or pay attention, but they're kind of boring. So I'm not, this month I'm doing things a little different. I'm not really doing quota knitting. Like, I probably won't knit on these today. I'll probably focus more on the Mingus socks because I have to and it's my day off. Like, I have to focus on the Mingus socks to work on them. So I probably won't work on these today. They'll probably just be at work or at travel socks. Those are my thoughts this month on how things are going to work instead of working on all of my knitting every day. So those are on the blanket. And then the last blanket project is a pet blanket sort of thing. A girl at work got me a bag of yarn for my birthday, and I have to be honest, like, okay, so the gesture was super nice, and I'm super appreciative, and she's totally adorable, and I love her to pieces, and that was great, and it was so nice that, like, she paid attention that I like knitting and stuff, and, you know, went out of her way to go and get me knitting, crafting supplies. But honestly, like, I didn't know what I was going to do with rainbow boucle acrylic yarn. I just didn't. It's lovely. It's buttercream Luxe Craft in the Mardi Gras colorway. It's 8 ounces. It is 621 yards. So it is, you know, it's nice, but it's not the type of yarn that I would pick up for myself and make something with. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to make using any of the yarn, honestly, because the stuff that she bought me is lovely. I don't want anyone, see, I feel like I sound ungrateful, but I'm not. I really appreciate it. It was a really thoughtful gift. I just don't know what I'm going to do with the yarn. So I was talking to her and I was like, well, you bought me this yarn and I want to make you something using one of the yarns. I just want to pick something and make you, like, pick one of the yarns and make you something. So we were talking and she was like, well, you can make something for my dogs. She has dogs and she is obsessed. Like, she is a pet person. She's not a people person. You know what I mean? So I am using this to make a pet blanket, and I've actually used a substantial bit. You can see, like, pulling from the center, and I've used a substantial bit, maybe half, I don't know, to make this pet blanket. I am using a size N crochet hook, I want to say. Let me double check. Oh no, just a size K. Size K, which is a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, and I am actually holding this strand times 3. So the same way that you would Navajo ply, I pull out a really long length of the yarn and then bring it through this little loop, and it makes, here, I'll just show you really quick. Let me pull this back because I got a little mess going on here. And that yard work person is so noisy. I'm so sorry. But if I stop now, I'm never going to get this finished. So I pull out a bunch of yarn. Oh, like a yarn barf worth. That's cool. Pull out a bunch of yarn and then take it through the loop that was made previous. Just throw it through. And then start crocheting from that. So that's another 3 strands. And then this yarn barf will eventually be worked down to just a loop, and I will pull through that to make another 3. At the beginning, I was pretty good about keeping the yarn colors to themselves, and then I was just like, it's for a dog. The dog isn't going to care if the blanket is in solid chunks of color. So now I'm just like, pull out a chunk, and that is how the colors will work up. So I'm just, crocheting a little bit a day. All of these projects I started on the 1st. So I've been making a lot of progress on this one because it's super easy and works up super fast. But yeah, I just pull out a chunk and I work on that. And then I set it aside for the rest of the day or not, depending on how I'm feeling. Because it's okay if this is done well early in the month, because I have those 2 spinning projects that are not going to be finished. And those are all of my blanket projects. But I do have another project that I started. And the cross stitch is not on the blanket because I don't anticipate finishing that this month. It's a really big piece. I'm not going to push myself to be that crazy. I started, it's so very tiny, but I started the second market bag. So I have 4 repeats, I guess, 4 times going back and forth. So it's 8 rows total, but I counted as 4. And I need 25. And this is quota crafting. This is the only project that I'm really making quota, because otherwise it'll never get done. I'm never going to sit down and be like, oh, I would love to crochet a market bag out of cotton. That's a lie. I did that one time and it was lovely, but that was the first market bag I ever made. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll make a market bag. It's still out of love. It's a Christmas gift. So I want to work on it, make sure it gets done. So it's quota crafting. If I do 2 rows a day, I will have the base finished by the end of this month, and I can start doing the other parts of it. And the other parts work up faster because once I get past the single crochet, double crochet goes so much faster and the growth happens so much more quickly. This is, I don't remember, Lily and Cream, I think. Lily Sugar and Cream, something like that. I don't know the colorway. But yeah, it's just going to be a cotton market bag. It'll be fine. Super easy crocheting. And once I finish this pet blanket, maybe I'll pick it up more because it's, it's mostly mindless once the setup is finished. So the setup is finished. Now I just need to make 50 rows total for the base. Which is fine. It's just not exciting. And I have one more project that is not yet a work in progress, but will be soon. It is my Q3 socks. So the bag that won is the Sewn by Lindsay zombie bag. And the yarn that was inside is super beautiful, and I caked it up this morning or last night. I can't remember. Time passes strangely here sometimes. This is a Heather special from 716 Knit. I did a knit along for a club. I don't remember which one. And she drew prizes for the knit along. And one of the prizes was a custom dyed self-striping. So I got to pick the colors and stuff. And if you've watched for a while, my favorite colorway from 716 Knit is hamsters. I love it. I have a sweater knit out of it. I crocheted a dragon for Jenna, the dyer of 716, because she doesn't crochet. I crocheted a dragon for her using hamsters. It's just a really cool speckly colorway. So this is hardcore hamsters on the 716 sock base. And what it is so pretty. I love it so much. So it's self-striping, and it is the hamsters colorway with a black stripe. So it's hamsters black, hamsters black. I wasn't really paying attention when I was winding the yarn, so I don't know if the stripes are the same size or not. Jenna gave me this yarn at last year's ZK, so ZK 2015, and I've been holding on to it because it's precious and it's going to be amazing. But you know what? I deserve awesome hamster stripy socks, right? So why am I holding on to it instead of knitting up some, I almost swore there, some super awesome socks? Yeah, they're gonna be amazing. You can't see all of the colors in it, but I'm gonna try to show you anyway, because yeah, hamsters is just my favorite. It's like a gray based rainbow speckle. I love it so much. I'm super excited for these, and I haven't cast on because I'm not 100% positive what pattern I want to use. I might do fruit stripe gum, I think is what it's called, which
Mom,
I like, but I don't love the pattern. It makes kind of like a diamond type pattern on the leg. There's also one that was released by Lollipop, which I am kind of into. There are 3. I can't remember the other one, the third one. So I'm going to look at them again and make a decision in the next few days. And whatever I make, I will probably, although not definitely, turn into a toe up so that I can make super long socks. Although maybe not. Maybe I'll just make normal calf length socks so that I can put a square in both of my blankets. I haven't decided yet. But I'm definitely doing toe up. I have decided that. So I might cast on toes later today. I'm super excited. And I'm not really worried about the stripes matching on it. So I'm just going to start where the yarn starts. And if the stripes match, cool. And if they don't, also cool. I'm super excited about this yarn. So I did some modular knitting this week. I did not make any hexapuffs. I am putting aside hexapuffs for a little while. I know the blanket's never going to be finished if I never make hexapuffs, right? I know. But I have this bag over my shoulder. This whole bag is full, almost to bursting of hexapods that need to be joined to the blanket. So maybe I'll just focus on attaching hexapods to the blanket instead of making hexapuffs, or maybe I just won't work on the blanket at all. I've given myself until Gabriel goes off to high school or goes off to college to finish it. So I have a little while. He's going into 2nd grade this year. So I have a little while before I need that blanket done. So I'm going to take a little break. It's fine. No hexapuffs this week. But I did get up to 500. Let's see. I did 66 during the knit along. And I started with 519, so I have 585.
Mom, can I have some chapstick?
Yes, you can have some chapstick.
It will make me sick.
So I'm like a quarter of the way, maybe, through the blanket. I don't know for sure because I haven't redone the math on how many hexapuffs I think I need. But I'm counting it a quarter of the way knit, although not put together. I did do a mitered square, so it's this one right here. It is 716 knit, Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Scorned for Sega. A beautiful speckle that I love so, so much and wish that I wore this color because I would make a sweater out of it. But I don't wear white in vast quantities or cream or things like that. I also did a barn raising square, and this is the Gnome Acres house gnome base in the Gotham Knights colorway that I finished the cowl out of last week. And this is square number 81. So mitered square 40, barn racing square 81, making progress on those projects, which is good. And then let's finish it up. I finished reading A Discovery of Witches, which was really good, and I kind of wanted to immediately put the second one on hold, but I have all these books on the shelf, plus a handful on my bedside table that I want to read also. A lot of them are in series, so I have to read things in between anyway, but I probably have 5 books out from the library right now that I need to read so I can return them. And I'm sorry, my daughter is playing with really squeaky scissors right now. I highly recommend A Discovery of Witches if you're interested in history and or witchcraft type things. I also finished listening to Fragile Things by Neil Gaiman. Very enjoyable. I was almost finished last week. I was on the last disc. And it was a novella of American Gods, which I enjoyed those books. And then I started I think I had started listening to Proven Guilty a couple weeks ago and then didn't listen to it at all last week. But now I'm up to track 26 of 47. I finished this morning, and I started reading this, which I'm almost done with. This is Boy, Snow, Bird by Helen Oyemi. I can't pronounce that. I apologize. It is a retelling of Snow White. Modern setting. Really interesting. Really interesting take on the whole evil stepmother thing. Because you start out, yes, in a minute, you start out the story with the stepmother as the main character, and Snow White is just a very small piece of the story. She's there, but she's not really there. She's kind of a supporting character. Yeah, it's really good. I am really enjoying it. I will definitely be looking up this author more. I found it because it was on the there's a display table right when you walk in the door, and there are different themes every month. And I don't remember what last month's themes were, but I saw Classics Revisited, and I saw the cover and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I saw that it was a rewrite of Snow White, and I was like, done. I need to read it. So I'm reading it. I will probably finish it today because day off. And yeah, it's really, really good. I don't want to tell you anything because it'll give things away, but it's really good. It's not science fiction. It's not paranormal. It's just really good. I don't know, like straight fiction. When is it set? It's set in 1953 is when it starts. So it's a little bit about that time period. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. And I will be looking up the author, as I said before, although not immediately. Sorry, I had an itch on my shoulder. Anyway, that is all I have for you this week. I hope you made something fantastic with your 6 and string, and I will see you next week. Bye.